Where's the TV clicker?
How's it going? Volume on.
Hello.
Hi.
You're all
Hang
set,
on a
Bruce.
minute. All right, thank you, Chris.
Hi. Much better.
Time being 7:30, the meeting,
Well,
the scheduled meeting of the zoning board of appeals will come to order. This meeting is being recorded and televised. The listing of matters of those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for the discussion to the extent permitted by law. The meeting will be held via the Zoom platform. You can log on, you can go to the town's website and get the login off the agenda. You may also join the meeting on your smartphone by calling 1-929-205-6099. For those looking to view the meeting, it can be viewed live at this time on Comcast 11 or Verizon 29. It is also streaming directly from Franklin TV's website. Visit franklin.tv and just click on Town Hall TV channel. Time being approximately 7:30.
Time being approximately 7:30 PM, 585 Maple Street, Cleveland, Patricino. Applicant is seeking to construct an addition with an accessory dwelling unit. The building is permitted, denied without a special permit from the ZBA.
Is the applicant present?
Yes, I am Clayton. This is my wife, Janet.
Okay. Is there any abutters for 585 Maple Street?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
could you just please identify yourselves one at a time?
My name is Peter Petriello at 1 Laurel Court.
Okay.
And Catherine.
And Catherine, my wife Catherine. So-
Oh, okay. You're both in the same spot. Okay. I
Yeah.
thought it was two different people.
Nope.
My name's Ashley. I'm at 589 Maple Street.
Okay. Okay. Without hearing anybody else, I'll just throw it out to the applicant. It's incumbent upon you to tell us what you want to do.
Yes. Thanks for the opportunity to explain. We bought the property at 585 Maple Street. And we are doing a small addition to it. So right now it's just 9,800 square feet, is that it? 985 square feet. So we are building a attached garage there with a in-law suite on top of the garage. So we are making the house a little bit bigger.
Okay. There's probably some criteria that you had to fill out. You just want to go through those quickly? Supporting statement.
A second, we have right here. Yep. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, just start with question 1.
Yeah, the proposals for the new in-law addition to the property. The current house has a small kitchen, living room, 3 bedrooms, and 1 full bathroom with total area approximately of 900 square feet. The addition to the house is to enlarge the kitchen by 10 feet, by 10 square feet. To the living room also 10 square feet to enlarge also. Add a 3-door car garage and build a second floor on top of the garage. The addition to the top floor will be as follows: master bedroom with a personal bathroom, an office, a small bathroom. Upstairs next to the office, a personal kitchen with a small living room with area approximately 782 square feet. Our current setback is 71 feet to our nearest neighbor. After the construction, it will be a setback of 37 feet.
Okay, you said that almost when you started out, but there's some criteria. There's a special permit application with supporting documents or supporting statements. You have that one? Somebody, it's in the packet, so somebody filled it out.
Yeah, we have a special permit, right? Yeah, we do. It's a second.
Okay. That's the one I wanted you to start with, number one. Read the question and then give us your answer.
Zone boarding.
Do you have it?
Right, I'm gonna go, like,
Here's the special permit. I think we do. ZBA application form, no, right?
Yeah, it's got 7 questions. Proposed project address
Oh,
is
okay.
consistent with the neighbor. That one there, that's the one. You filled it out. You might as well just, you got to spout it out.
Yeah, the proposed, here's the number one, proposed project addresses or is consistent with neighbor or town need.
Yeah, that's the one you just answered. So we're all set with that one. Move on to number 2.
Okay, vehicle traffic flow, access and parking, pedestrian safety and property addressed. So we won't be needing to close the traffic. I have plenty space there.
What?
Okay.
So no constructors trucks will be parked outside the property. We have plenty space.
Okay.
Okay. Next one.
Public roadways, drainage, utilities, and other infrastructure are adequate or will be upgraded to accommodate development. We answered, we changed it to septic system. Before we had a septic system, but it's connected to the sewer already, so we don't even need to connect anything there. So it's all set.
stand, right?
Yeah, now we are standard.
Okay.
The neighborhood character and social structure will not be negatively impacted. We are following the guidelines of the social structure. Will be no negatively impacted, so we'll keep the same.
Number 4.
Okay, move on.
Project will not destroy or cause substantial damage to any environmental significant natural resource, habitat or feature, or if it will be proposed, mitigation, remediation, replication, or compensatory measures are adequate. We will not do anything harm the environment there. We are mainly focused to the construction at the house, so we will not be any trees removal. We don't need. We have plenty space for what we are doing.
Okay.
Number 6. The six number height bulk solution and of buildings and the structure will not result in abutting properties being deprived of light or fresh air, circulating or being exposed to the flooding, or subject to excessive noise, odor, light, vibrations, or airborne particles. We will not be adding a second. We will be adding a second story to the house, and it does not affect the neighbors.
Because we have
The 7, water consumption and sewer use taking into consideration current and projected future local water supply and demand, and whatever treatment capacity will not be excessive. The water consumption will be expected for a family of 4 people, so we'll be like as normal.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, I guess that's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Before we move a little bit forward, anyone that's on the call and listening in, that's fine. Feel free to listen. I wish you'd mute your microphones, because every time you make some noise in the background, it throws your picture up on the screen here, and it doesn't do us any good to have to listen to all that too. So this is just fair warning that if somebody continues to keep doing it and interrupting the calls, we'll just have you muted. I think that the secretary can mute you until it's time for whatever you came to look at. So anyway, with that being said, I'll go to the abutters that are identified themselves. Do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Ashley. I have a few questions and concerns. My first question is in the first question of the supporting statement, it says the square footage is going to be 782 feet. And then throughout each of the sketches that you submitted, we have this addition going back 23 feet. But then if you look at the plot plan submitted, we're looking at a 1,200 square foot structure going 36 by 34 feet. So I'm just not really understanding the disconnect here.
Listen, I didn't put the numbers on the plan. I'm not sure who did, but I can just tell you that they're not here for any dimensional relief.
No,
Okay.
I know, but that's the
They
difference
just-
between 700 square feet and 1,200 square feet. The 1,200 square feet is bigger than the house that's there right now.
Yeah, it's a small. I was there today. They got plenty of room off to the side to put it on there. They don't have to disturb the environment. There's no trees. There's no nothing. All they got is some grass there that they can put the addition on. But they're not here for any setbacks or
Yeah, I get
dimensional
that.
relief. All they're here
get
for
that.
is so that they could actually build that tomorrow. But
Yep,
the only
I get
trouble
it.
is if they're planning to put another family in there in their own separate kind of way, if they have a separate facility there to prepare food and cook food, then they need a second dwelling unit. We call it a second dwelling unit. It's actually an in-law apartment because somebody's going to live there is related to them somehow. We take names so that if somewhere down the road, the neighbors are the best policing agents for these because if you're going to see who's coming and going for the next, however, when people move in. And if you see that change, then you can call the building commissioner and he'll come out, check it out. If you think there's somebody living there other than the people that it's going to be approved for. So then you can call the building commissioner, he'll come out and investigate. And then if they're found in violation of the zoning ordinance or the conditions of their approval, then he'll issue them a zoning violation, which could be up to $300 a day.
From the applicants, could I just get some clarity on whether it's going to be 1,200 square feet or 782 square feet?
Can you answer that? The square footage that you're talking about? I know you said something, but maybe if you add it up, it comes up different. I didn't do the add.
Applicant, you're muted.
Their thing is muted.
The 782 square feet is for the new addition. The 900 square feet is for the old house right now. Won't be any people living besides us. Usually, what it's gonna happen to the old house, my kids, they will be living in the 2 bedrooms and, and we will be living the upstairs on the new apartment. So with some extra private rooms. So that's the idea.
Mhm.
Because we don't have a floor plan, that's the upper floor there where y'all moving to. Is that going to have its separate kitchen?
We will have all the installations because some days will be just us, so we can just cook something by ourselves. So we will be a separate kitchen, small kitchen. It will be.
Okay.
And then my other concern was just, there's 5 acres over there and this structure is being squeezed right into the smallest part of the lot to just barely meet the setbacks. And I know that's not what we're here for, but it still is 37 feet's right there. And I'm just a little bit concerned about the drainage from this massive structure being built. I mean, my yard already has huge water issues. I have a sump pump already installed. The basement has had water issues in the past. I'm just curious what the plans are for the draining for this structure. Is it going to be carried underground or is it just going to be drained straight off the gutters into the ground again, right next to my house?
I'll ask the applicants. Do you know the answer to that?
Yes. We don't because of the space that we have, I thought about piping the garage to the back, or even that or to the left side. But I don't think it's gonna change much of the water flow of your property. I think the property right now is a little bit above ground of the street. There is plenty of drainage. We don't have to do anything like to push the water towards you. That's plenty of space for us.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have to.
I actually rode by there today and I didn't really see a potential drainage problem because it looks like it slopes off to the back of their property. You know, it goes from the road in and then out towards the back. I don't think it comes from the road, from the house towards the road. To me, it looks like it sheds out to the back and maybe a little bit to the left and right.
Okay. And then my third and final concern was just, I believe that the way this structure is currently planned to have 2 windows facing over the backyard and the 2 abutting properties in this meeting, I think that directly contradicts the statement 4 of the supporting statement that the neighborhood character and social structure will not be negatively impacted. I firmly believe we would be the only houses on Maple Street that have a full functioning apartment directly overlooking my backyard with a bird's eye view into everything. And it would just be nice if the 2 windows on that side could be eliminated so that at least some amount of privacy remains. I mean, most houses have ample wooded area in between them. We don't have that. We have a clear view right into each property. And this is just going to be a massive structure overlooking my entire property now.
Well, I know that I didn't ride by the wrong house today because I saw the number out on the street and I took a right. What's the next right after that house headed down towards Patrick Street? I took that right and I rode down that street. I had my wife with me. She looked over to the right. She says, you can't even see that house from here. And I agreed. I don't think you can see the house. I don't think it's an issue. Sometimes they need windows for proper ventilation. That's really not an issue for us. I mean, they meet all the setback requirements and they're going to be at least the minimum setback away from the lot line. Now, if your house is the minimum setback from the lot line, then between the 2 of you, that's got to be like 70, 75 feet. So.
I mean, I'm not saying it's going to affect all of Maple Street, but clear as day in my backyard, it's basically a second house overlooking me. And I'm not asking him to move the entire thing, like whatever, it has to be built there. But it would be nice if the 2 windows on that side could either be moved to the other side or they just have front and back facing windows.
Okay, well, we'll throw it out there. They know what you're looking for, but I don't think that it would be proper for us to tell them where to put their windows on.
And then, so I just want to clarify the submitted plans and the plot plan, since those don't agree, that doesn't matter at all here. This is just.
Well, the plot plan is what we go by. They put it on the plan. They show the setbacks are proper. They said what he's going to do. He's going to put a garage in an apartment for him and his wife over on the second floor of that. So, whether it's he's well within the building permit phase. If he's done something wrong, the building commissioner can pick it up. But I mean, all we're here for is to vote on whether or not to grant him a second dwelling unit.
Good to know.
Okay. Any other abutters? I don't think there were. I'll go to the board now. Any questions from the board? Who's up first? Chris.
Oh, hello, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I
I got a
thought you
couple
were
of
together.
questions because the back of my property abuts the gentleman's property. So
Yeah.
I do have a couple of concerns. First of all, as far as water, I just want you to know, I personally know in the spring and after the winter thaw, it's a quagmire back there, to be honest with you, first of all. But that's, I'm not going to argue that point. I just want you to be aware that it gets flooded back there very much. All right. And I do have a professional sump pump put in because I have a high water table. So with that said, my main concern is a couple of things. I understand, if I hear right, this is owner occupied, correct? In other words, this is where the gentleman and his wife will live, and that owns the house, and that he has children. Is that right? May I ask how old the kids are? I'm curious. That's all. How old are
They're
the
college
kids?
kids. They are
College kids.
19 and 21.
So they're not going
Yeah.
to be, they're not going to be living there forever, right? Let's face it.
At
So
some
what's-
point, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure. I have a college kid myself, and he's 22. I'd love him to stay in my house for a while, but other than that, I'm sure he's going to make his own way. What's the plan? What's the plan for all that addition and the house that's already standing, a little bit down the road? In other words, what's really going to happen with that place after the kids are out? Or do you think they're going to live there for a long, long time?
The oldest one is
Listen,
going to be a little while. He's. he wants
Listen,
to
I'll
go-
answer that because we got a big agenda. I'll answer that. I'll just get,
Okay.
he's here asking for a second dwelling unit. If
Yeah.
the board's so inclined to grant him a second dwelling unit, we give him, we take names. We need the
Yeah.
names of him and his wife.
I know you take names now. The question is, is it zoned for, all right. Is it zoned for a two-family residential, or is it considered a single family home with an addition to it?
There's other names that they call them. They call them
What's
in-law
the name?
apartments. Some people call them in-law apartments.
Right.
Some people call them ADUs, accessory dwelling units.
Yeah.
Some people call them just that, a second dwelling unit in the building. And like I said, we take names. If down the road you see.
I don't care about down the road, my friend. I really, because things will change. It's going to be difficult to make a move down the road. The question is, and I know you don't have the crystal ball to tell me, but the question is it considered? Can he rent out that apartment or the main house? Can he rent that out down the road?
If any of the people are involved in this move out of the house or move to Florida or pass away or whatever,
Right.
it's not to say that nobody else can move in there, but if they came back to us, it would have to be another family member that would take over the other unit.
And how does that go? How does it really go? Is it all there?
Listen, we've been doing this for about 15 years now, and I don't
Yeah.
know that we've had one complaint or one person that moved out of the house and let some people use it as an apartment. Everybody
That's
has that
what I
concern. But I got to
That's
tell
what
you
I
that
learned.
the town's seriously considering letting accessory dwelling units by right, so that they could just, meet the square footage area or whatever, put it in, get a building
Yeah,
permit and
yeah.
have the second dwelling unit. To me, the way we do it is much more controlled. If you got just an accessory dwelling unit, that means you could have an absentee landlord. That means that two
Right.
separate parties could live in that house. Right
Right.
now,
Right.
the names that they give us tonight are the
Yeah.
only people that can live in that house, in those two units.
But what about future though? Maybe you
Well,
just
future, listen, we're not the enforcing authority. You'll have to talk to the building commissioner. In Franklin, the building commissioner is the zoning enforcement officer.
I
And like I've said, the best people that are going to know is the people that live there. Because if they build this year and for the next 2 or 3 years, you see the same people there, and then all of a sudden you see somebody different.
I don't want to go through that issue. That's all.
Okay,
So,
well,
so I understand. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's a single family with an attached dwelling. Is that what it's termed as, I guess? Or am I missing?
it's a second dwelling unit in the same
Second
house.
dwelling unit. Okay.
In the same house. Much like what you said, an apartment, but
Yeah.
more than that though, because, they're probably going to have some kind of common hallway or door to get from, much like a suite in a hotel,
Yeah, I understand. And I guess it goes over a 3-car garage. So I guess everybody has a car, right? That's the whole idea, right?
Well, they'd be missing one because it's him and his wife and 2 sons, I think he said. So there's 4 cars. So somebody's stuck out in the cold.
All right. Last thing, maybe the last thing. And I don't want to be a hot ass. It's not what I'm trying to do here. I just, I've been in this house for 30 plus years, or almost 30 years anyway. And the only other concern is I just want to make sure, and I understand the gentleman has a construction business, and the other concern is, and I think I heard him say it, I think it's a part of the agreement, but I wouldn't want to see his commercial vehicles there, or him working on any kind of commercial equipment or anything like that, making a lot of noise. It's just those issues. That's all I'm worried about, to be honest with you. So what can you tell me about that? What can be told to me about that?
Listen, whatever he legally can park in his yard and do what he wants, it's up to you and the building commissioner. If you make a complaint, he'll investigate. If he feels he's going against zoning, then he can take action against it.
Yeah. So in other words, what you're saying is this all would get him in there, and then if things happen afterward, then you're dealing with another agency of the town. Is that pretty much it? Is that how it works?
Well, the building commissioner sent him to the zoning board of appeals.
Right.
Yeah, so he's well aware of what's going on. And like I said, we've been doing this for over 15 years now, and we haven't had one issue. He's had one. The building commissioner's been there a long time. He wasn't the main building commissioner. There was another one, but they did have a complaint about, there was an architect in town that built a garage with an apartment on the top of it. His father lived there. Nobody ever saw the guy come in and out, and somebody complained. One of the neighbors complained. When the building commissioner investigated, there was the father sitting in the room. The poor guy was on oxygen, had an air tank, so he didn't go outside a lot. But he was there, living there. So as far as I know, we've never had a problem with any of these that we've approved.
All right.
Up till this point. I've been on the board a long time, probably longer than you lived in your house there.
I'm sure. The only other question, and I'm not trying to dig deeper. The only other thing I get is, I don't know if we somehow found out that he has other properties too. Are they residential properties also, or
it's no concern? It's no concern to this hearing.
All right. Well, my concern is down the road is the fact that if he wants to occupy this house and he has a couple of kids in there, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but I just want to make sure that this isn't something that again, and you told me, you told me already, it's got, they'll investigate it, right? It'll be investigated if these things happen, I guess, right? So I have to come to terms with that, I guess.
Basically, yeah. If he's approved.
Right.
All right.
Okay. I hope that answers your questions anyway.
It did, my friend. And please, no hard feelings on anybody. I don't want that. I just want to make sure the neighborhood stays the way it is, and there aren't issues that we got to worry about down the road. That's all. That's all it is.
Okay. Thank you very much. Chris, back to you.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Megan.
Yeah, no, I drove by as well, and I don't live, too far from there. And sounds good to me. I know, like you said, no dimensional relief. It's just the classic sort of in-law situation. So
second dwelling unit.
Questions from second dwelling unit. Yeah, so no questions from me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Philip.
No, seems pretty clear cut to me. And it's not
Okay.
to help answer one of the questions from Peter. His son might get married. They could live there. So you're saying the two sons are going to move out. That's not necessarily true. So just so you'll know, one of his sons could get married, have children, and live down there. And that's covered under the law, the covenant, just so you understand. I'm done.
Archie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, hey, congratulations on the purchase of this property, because I drive by it every weekend. It's a nice piece. I'm glad to see that someone's buying it to stay there. So, Clayton, I need the names of the people who are going to be residing at this residence besides yourself.
Yeah, it's me, Clayton Patrocinio, my wife, Yaneth Patrocinio, and my oldest son, Matthew Patrocinio, and my youngest son, Benjamin Patrocinio.
So Matthew and Benjamin?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else to say before I close the public hearing? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded, roll call vote to close the public hearing. Philip,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
chair votes yes. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to grant a special permit for a second dwelling unit for the property located at 585 Maple Street, with the condition that the special permit be that the in-laws, Matthew and Benjamin Petrus.
Not in-laws, family members, Archie, family members.
With the condition that the in-law, Clayton.
Well, they're not in-laws,
Petrosini
they're
and Janeth
family
Petrosini.
family members. Yeah.
Okay. Reside at the property along, all right, so let's go back, all right? So located with the condition of the special variance that the family member, Matthew and
Special
Benjamin
permit.
Petrosini, right, reside at the property along with the owners, Clayton Petrosini and Denise Petrosini, at the special permit for the second dwelling unit becomes null and void, neither party moves or transfers ownership. No separate utility shall be permitted unless required by the DPW at 585 Maple Street. That the board also determines that the social, economic, and community needs which are served by this proposal will be met. Traffic, flow, and safety will not be encumbered. Adequate utilities and other public services exist. The proposal is consistent with the neighborhood character and social structure as it exists now, and that the quality of natural environment will stay intact. There's no potential fiscal impact for the town of Franklin. The issuance of the special permit, also that the special permit be recorded at the registry of deeds.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Roll call vote. Archie,
Yes.
Philip,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Thank you.
Time being approximately 7:35, 10 Barron Road. Timothy and Jennifer Gaspar, applicant is seeking to construct an enlargement to an existing deck that is 14.2 from the right sideline setback where 25 feet is required. The permit is denied without a variance from the ZBA.
Applicants present.
Yeah, Tim Gasper here.
Okay. Any butters for 10 Barron Road?
Yes,
Please identify yourself.
Dana Stanley, 9 Barron Road, across the street.
Tom Benham, 13 Bear Road, diagonally across the street.
Michelle Kane, 17 Barron Road, couple houses up.
Okay, that's it. All right, Mr. Gaspar, you want to just explain what you're going to do? Archie, I got to step out of the room for a minute. I got to make a call. Somebody called me looking for me. Actually, the building inspector. So
I can talk.
go ahead.
Yep.
Make your proposal. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. Due to the configuration of my lot, which is existing non-conforming, I need a variance to construct a deck 14.2 off the right of the property line. It's an addition off the existing deck, and it's due to a child who is ill, who needs access from the driveway to the deck without stairs.
Have you constructed the deck already?
Yes. I already have a permit.
So you have a permit issued?
Correct.
And what happened? How did they issue a permit and have you come back here?
I have no idea why. When I filled out the permit, I drew the sketch. No questions were asked. The permit was granted. I started building the deck, and when they came for the final inspection is when they wanted me to go through the zoning board.
Okay. All right, so it wasn't like you tried to do it without a permit. You pulled a permit and then I see there's a 25-foot setback in that area. Your house is 19.6 off there, so it's a non-conforming lot. And fortunately, you're in a tough spot there.
Yep.
Okay, I guess I would like to hear from any of the abutters. If we can just do that kind of one at a time.
Sure, I'll start. I live across the street. I support the variance. They got issued a permit. Obviously, the building department, in my opinion, didn't do their due diligence to really look at what they were proposing and where they were going with the ramp in addition to the deck. And they put them in a tight spot, and they really, really need it for their son. So I support it. I don't have any problem with it.
Hi, Mr. Vice Parent, Chairman Tom Benham, 13 Barron Road, diagonally across the street. I echo Dana's opinion. I completely support it, and I have no questions, no comments, or concerns about it.
And I'm Michelle Kane. I live, as I said, a couple houses down. I completely support it as well. It looks beautiful. It's not, it's lovely from the street. You can't even see much of it. And as they said, it's needed. And I think it's great. And I support everything they've done. Thank you.
Is any other abutters out there that need to say anything? I'll take it to the board if anyone has any questions. Chris?
You can send it. No questions. Just is the deck wrapping around that existing screen and porch?
Yes, so it's right on the side. It's about four feet, whatever the walkway is. I think it's like 4 feet off the porch.
Sure, understood.
So it comes out to 14.2 from the end of the deck to the property line.
Got it. Good. No more questions. Thank you.
Okay. Megan, you have any questions?
No questions for me.
Philip?
No, I think it's proper. I think it's fine.
Okay. So with that, I guess I have no questions. I guess with that, I'd like to take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay.
Motion made and seconded. If we could follow up with a verbal vote, who seconded that? Was that Chris? Megan?
Chris and Megan, I think both did.
Okay, so I guess Megan, what is your verbal vote here?
My verbal vote is yes.
Okay, and Philip?
Yes.
Okay, and the chair votes yes. I guess I'll entertain a motion or propose a motion. Looks like I'm going to propose one for Open. Like to make a motion to grant the variance for 10 Barron Road for Timothy and Jennifer Gasper to construct a deck that is 14 feet, 2 inches from the right side setback, giving them relief of 10.8 feet where 25 feet is required. This would be able to construct a deck with ramp the right side of their home, as shown on a drawing dated 9/13/2022. Plan showing as-built deck for 10 Barron Road by D. O'Brien Land Surveying.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded.
Megan.
Do I hear anything else? We're good?
I got a question. We went through the abutters spoke. I would assume they were probably for it. That's why the meeting moving along so quick. But
The abutters spoke. We all spoke. We sat down. I entertained the motion.
Okay.
Philip,
the other thing.
you can take over from here, Mr. Chairman.
Well, no, you guys are still doing it because Megan's going to vote, you're going to vote, Philip's going to vote, but I just want to make sure we did it. Just make sure you take a roll call vote.
Okay, yeah, I did. So,
Okay, good. Thank you.
Philip,
I voted yes, waiting for Megan.
Megan,
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Let's do a verbal vote on that if we could, Philip. Yes, Megan,
Yes.
yes, me, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not quite sure how to take it from here, Mr. Chairman.
We have to close the public hearing. We didn't do that yet, right?
Oh, you have to close the
That's it.
public hearing before you vote.
Yeah,
We did.
I think we did, didn't we?
We did
Yeah,
that.
I don't know. I was out of the room when that happened.
Yeah, we did that, and that was the vote. to,
Okay.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Then you're all set.
Okay.
Okay, thanks to the applicant.
Close
Thank you.
vote
You're all
here, so
set.
then we got approval on that.
All right,
All right, thank you.
Approximately 7:40 PM. Parcel 219-178-002-000. Bruce Wheeler, applicant is seeking to modify previously approved comprehensive permit.
Is the applicant present tonight? Mark, you happen to be on the call? Attorney Babowski?
My understanding, Mr. Chairman, Mark Bobrowski on the phone, is that
Yeah.
Mr. Levine is in Ireland. Now, whether
I'm
he
here.
sent somebody to.
Mark,
What?
Oh,
Mark, he's there.
okay.
Mark,
Welcome,
I'm on the,
welcome back, Lou.
I'm here. Well, no, I'm still in Ireland, but I'm on the Zoom conference meeting. I apologize. I
Sound
was on mute a
remarkably
moment ago.
Okay, Mr. Levine, evidently we're in receipt finally of that letter we were waiting for from the state. You've had some conversations with Attorney Bobrowski. He's drawn up a proposal, which I would assume that you've had a chance to look at. You have any problems with any of it?
No,
Okay. Before we go any further, is there any abutters for Franklin Heights? Just in case you're out there.
Yes. This
Okay.
is
Want to identify yourself, please?
Diana Deschamps, 24 Shane Road, Unit 216.
Okay. Do you have any comments or questions?
Not right now.
Well, this is going to be it because we're going to vote on this after, and that'll be it as far as it's here. So we've continued on for over a year now. So they finally got the letter that they were required to get. So
Okay. The concerns that we have from the association are they're cutting back one of our driveways to have their access road. So we don't have any definite numbers from them on how much they're cutting back that road. And I don't think their plans right now have a fire hydrant that's at the same point. We're working through details on agreements between the association and the new development. So we don't have those finalized, but they're in process.
okay. Maybe when we approve we're going to approve a preliminary plan that they're presenting, and we're showing the roadway and everything else, and there's some details in there that they have to, that they have to do. This is definitely not they're going to be back before us because we have to approve the final plan whenever it's promulgated, but I was just down there today and I was amazed because I always thought the road going in there over the bridge was all broke up and potholed and everything else. I was really surprised when I saw that everything was halfway decent down there, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
I did see a truck back then. They must be doing work.
They had to do some testing for the conservation committee. So they had to dig several holes for their containment ponds, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, about 3 years ago, we did do the final top coat on the roads. We do have some concerns about the deed. I'm not sure if that's applicable to this forum or not, because all of the units are in one deed and the land is in the other. So because there are two parcels of land.
Fortunately, we have a consulting attorney that may be able to answer that. Mark, any comments?
I heard just a little bit of a bounce in my cell phone here about 2 parcels of land, but I didn't get the question.
There are 2 parcels of land. So the existing
Yeah.
Franklin Heights is in one parcel, and then this will be in parcel B, the additional parcel
Correct.
of land. All of the units for the condos are in one master deed, and the land for parcel B is in a separate master deed. So that's something that we're trying to work through to understand the impact. And does that impact the zoning board dealings with this comprehensive permit?
No, the relationship between parcel A, the existing condominium, and parcel B, the new buildings, is it's a private matter as far as we're concerned. I do recommend to the board that they include a condition that when the details of that are worked out, that copies be provided to the board.
Okay.
That would allow the board in its final inspection of both documents and work to take into consideration the final agreements between the condo associations.
Okay. Diane, you all set with that?
Yes, I'm taking that note so that we can make sure we do that.
Well, at least you're having conversations anyway. I mean, that's like a step up from last time, because evidently they know they're getting closer and they're probably going to have something. But, as far as we're concerned, it was approved at one time. It's, the both parcels were parcel A and parcel B. They're coming in, they could have came in with a minor modification and went through, but they came through with a major modification because they're changing the project a little bit, for what they want to do. And obviously they're out there doing some work, so they plan on going forward. And maybe we can have an end to this. I mean, this has been, I was looking at the submissions, I think they submitted back in 2021. So this has been a long drawn out process, not on our end, I'm sure you understand that too, but
right.
With the states, I was getting a little perturbed that we'd have to meet sometimes to do nothing when we didn't have anything else scheduled that we had to get together and continue this on. But hopefully now we got a decision drafted. We're ready, set to vote on it, and hopefully things will move forward. You guys will all get done. I don't know. To me, if they were all added in, I'm sure it would provide more money for both associations or for both parcels to be maintained properly. But anyway, I guess that's really not up to us. But okay, I'm glad you came in. At least I know there's some movement there anyway. And I will say that the road looked absolutely perfect to me when I went through there compared to what it was. I wasn't there. I was there years ago and it was terrible. There was potholes everywhere and everything else. So it really looks nice in there now. So
thank you.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board? Megan?
No questions from me, Mr. Chairman.
Chris?
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Philip?
Thank God it's almost over.
Archie?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'm all set too.
So, Mr. Chairman, there was a plan that I received today from Mr. Levine's office, and that's the new plan of record. It's revised to November 3rd, 2022. I added it to the permit as a referenced public hearing document. There's also the letter of transfer, which should be Exhibit 1 to the decision because it contains some conditions that are incorporated by reference. So it's nice to be able to find that. If it goes into the registry with the modification, then it's findable. And other than that, I think that's about it. We thank Joe Pesnola for his conditions recommended as the board's consulting engineer, all of which were incorporated as he wrote them.
Yeah, no, I had a conversation with Joe later on today after I talked with you. He called me back, so we're all set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So anyway.
Yep.
Oh, all right. With all that being said, the members have been, before I ask to close the public hearing, I just want to make the statement that the members have all been provided with a copy of an approval draft that Casey's going to have to tune up with headers and maybe some comments that didn't make it. She's going to go through the list, make sure we got everything that belongs in there. But
please send it along to me for one last look.
Okay. I'm sure she got that. But Anyway, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. Roll call vote. Archie?
Yes.
Philip?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. All right, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the draft decision drawn up by our consulting attorney, which the members have been provided a copy with, along with the attachments that you got today, the revision of the plan that was dated today, and the letter from Boston saying that they approve of the name change, or the applicants can take over parcel B. I don't think there's anything else that we have to say, so I guess with that being said, I'll entertain that motion.
Seconded.
Somebody's got to move it.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Motion made and second. Any discussion? It's been a long, drawn out thing. I a lot of it, you can lay on the applicant if you want, but the last month or so has been because the state couldn't provide the letter. I saw emails saying that it was approved and everything was going to be fine, but I guess it takes a long time to write a one-page letter. So anyway, we're finally at the end of this, and we can put it to bed. And anyway, I'll call for the vote now. Archie?
Yes.
Philip?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Levine, for coming all the way from Ireland.
Thank you very much.
Town being approximately 7:45, 237 Pleasant Street, St. John's Episcopal Church, Church of Franklin, in the Community Builders, Inc. Applicant is seeking a building permit to construct 64-unit multifamily development. The building permit is denied without a comprehensive permit from ZBA.
Okay. Mark, are you still hanging around?
Yes, I intend to stay through the applicant's initial presentation.
Okay, I got a question for you. There was a little bit of confusion today based upon the way, some people interpreted the advertisement for this. And I'm not going to continue it. We're going to go through with the first public hearing because we got a statutory obligation to do that within 30 days. And I don't want to miss the 30 days because then it will be approved automatically. So for anybody out there that thinks that we're skipping our responsibility and that we did something on purpose to get this, out of the town hall chambers, we haven't met in the chambers for over 2 years now that I'm aware of. And, and it says right on the thing, meeting would be held online or in the town council chambers. So we're doing it online, and we've been doing it online, and we intend to do it online until March 15th, 2023. Just so everybody's got that clear.
The governor has extended the order for allowing for remote meetings until March. So you're correct.
Yes. Okay. So that's it. But anyway, with that being said, I'll ask if the applicant's up. Did we read? You read it off, right, Philip? You did.
Yes.
Okay. The applicant's present.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name, for the record, is Richard Cornetta. I'm an attorney here in Franklin that will be working alongside a number of design professionals and attorneys with this application. We thank you for the opportunity tonight to initially present what we believe to be a very interesting proposal for the creation of affordable residential housing within the proximity to the town of Franklin Center and the train station. Mr. Chairman, I know you're on the committee, but I think of late there has been considerable discussion in the Franklin community about certain issues and resources dedicated to addressing the vision of the Franklin Center. And the outreach and these programs were aptly named Franklin for All. And during these various public forums and steering committees, what was present that I had observed in watching them and in reading the print materials that were generated from this was there is a direct need for multifamily affordable housing in close proximity to the downtown center and the train station. So tonight, we've assembled a number of design and development professionals that have dedicated a great deal of time and effort in what we believe to be a very exciting proposal for the establishment of this much needed affordable multifamily housing within the proximity of the downtown area. A few people that are on the phone with me tonight regarding our team that I'll point out and introduce to the board. Firstly is Kathleen McAdams, who is the rector of the St. John's Episcopal Church here in Franklin. And Kathleen is available to discuss with the board this partnership that they have entered into with the Community Builders, which is the applicant of this proposal. John Harding is the representative of TCB, the Community Builders, and he is prepared to provide the board with a kind of a high-level project overview about the number of units, the income breakdown, and such things as that are particular to this proposal. We also have Kevin Hebert of Langen Engineering that is responsible for a lot of the site utility renderings and the stormwater overview that was presented in this application. And he's on the line to discuss those features and address any questions the board may have. We also have Carissa Coons of Durfee Brown, which is the architectural firm that is responsible for a lot of the design overviews and renderings. And Carissa is also on the call joining our team tonight to present the board with an overview of the architectural renderings of the site. So at this time, I would like to introduce attorney Peter Freeman to the conversation. Peter is with the Freeman Law Group out of Yarmouthport, Massachusetts, and Peter's practice includes a focus on Chapter 40B and Chapter 40B developments. And so Peter will take the board through what this application presents and may address any of the questions as to the 40B process. Peter, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members.
Peter, could you hold on 1 second? I just want to get a little piece of background, not background, but I'm lax for the word. I can tell you that one of the things that we're going to do, and we can get this out of the way, that way there, if we're not going to do it, then Mark can leave, we won't need him, but it's our intention to hire Mark Grabowski and Joe Pesnola from Hancock Engineering, or associates, or whatever the name is, to review this project for the board, to act as our consultant. By doing so, obviously, we wouldn't hire them or contract them until we got money in the bank from the applicant. And so at this point, I'm going to ask if the applicant's willing to produce a check to the ZBA within the next few days, probably in the amount of around 20,000 should cover it for a while. And if there's anything left over, obviously you get it back. So that's the question I want to get, so that if Mr. Grabowski don't have to listen to your presentation. But.
Sure, I'll speak first, and I can speak publicly and advise my client at the same time. That is totally appropriate for 40B or any zoning hearing to have peer review. That amount, John, is in escrow. I know known Mark for a long time, so I assume most of that money is going to go to the Pesnola Hancock Engineering firm as opposed to Mark, but that's just a joke, sorry. But it's totally appropriate to do that. And John, if you have questions and need to talk to me privately, that's fine, but certainly I would say that that's okay.
This is consistent with my experience doing this type of work as well, and I don't foresee any issue with it.
Okay, so we can expect a check sometime either this week or the beginning of next week?
I would probably need the specifics, right? Where does it get sent to? Who does it get made out to? What's the exact amount? But I'm
okay
happy to rush that through as quickly as we can.
Okay, all right, we'll get with you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to help in that regard. I look forward to working with attorneys Cornetta and Freeman, old friends both. And I'm going to sign off now that we've got that agreement.
Are you going to leave now?
I thought you were going to
stay. I thought you were going to stay. And
no, I'm going to. I would ask that they send me a full set of the.
Yeah, both to you and Joe, if that's possible.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you much.
All right. Bye, Mark. Good night. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to take your thunder away, Mr. Freeman. Go ahead.
No, that's quite all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So I will be brief. The main essence of my remarks are just a little bit as to 40B and the jurisdictional requirements, so-called. The 3 points in that they are: one, that we are a limited dividend organization or nonprofit organization, and the co-applicant with the church, of course, the church is essentially religious and nonprofit, but the Community Builders is a nonprofit organization, as stated in the project eligibility letter. And in essence, when it, so they meet that requirement, but also there will be a single purpose entity created that will have to comply with the requirements of 40B in all respects. So that's part A. Part B is control of the land. As you know, and our application is complete with all of the copies evidencing these things, the St. John's Episcopal Church of Franklin owns the land, and there is a joint development agreement between the Community Builders and the church to develop this property as co-developers. So the second prong, point B, is certainly satisfied as well. And then all of that is really confirmed in essence by the project eligibility letter. That's a requirement in order to apply to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And we have the project eligibility letter from Department of Housing and Community Development dated September 15th, 2022, under the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Program. And that letter confirms under these 40B regulations that the project and the applicants are eligible to go forward, meet the basic requirements of 40B. So the only other thing that I will say is part of our package in the application is a list of waivers, and waivers, as you know, form a big part of a 40B application. We do have the list of waivers. We're happy to go over them at any time. I usually find that it is more convenient and actually helpful to a board to not go into them right away, but to wait until you see the presentations, and either later tonight or at another hearing. Certainly there'll be another hearing because there's going to be peer review. And so we're happy to do it at any time, but I usually, as I just said, find it most useful for the board and the public to hold off on that for a bit, but certainly we'll take your direction in any way. So
no, I refer this as like the dog and pony show, where you have to come out with what you're going to do so everybody's got a better idea. There's a lot of innuendo floating around out, with emails and everything else about what's going on, who's doing what, why are we doing this, and why are we doing that. So I'd rather just get to the meat and potatoes of what we're going to do, and then I'll open it up for a few questions. But obviously, everybody's got to be remembered that this is just the first statutory obligation we have to hold a public hearing within 30 days. So we're meeting that now. So that's it. Go ahead, Mr. Freeman. I'm sorry.
No apology needed, and I appreciate that, and I agree with that. So really, that's all I wanted to state for you folks, although I'm naturally here for any questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathy McAdams from the church, the rector, as Richard Cornetta said. Kathy?
Hello, thank you. My name is Reverend Kathy McAdams. I've been with St. John's nearly 5 years, and we are really pleased to be partnering with Community Builders and to be offering this project as a gift to the community. We know that there's a huge need for affordable housing in Franklin, and our goals for this project have been first to do something that is of benefit to the community. Second, to provide some needed revenue for the church to continue. And thirdly, to maintain most of our property as natural habitat. We have about 20 acres, and this project proposes to use about 4 of those. I entertain any questions that you might have about the church's involvement.
One of the questions that's come up and people talk about is this going to be a tax-free real estate because it's owned 51% by the church? I don't know if you can answer that now or not, but it's a question that's come up. So you're the reverend, so you should be able to tell us.
Yeah, my understanding from John Harding, and he's more of an expert at this than I am, is that the LLC will be a for-profit and that it will therefore pay real estate taxes. I think where people have gotten that impression is in hearing about the low income tax credits that would be funding the project. I think people have assumed that means it would not be paying taxes.
And I don't know who could, you probably can't answer this, but I'm sure that Attorney Freeman or Attorney Cornetta could. This project is going to be funded similar as to building, the senior housing behind the high school, and the other building is proposed right behind it, and that you have to wait around for state money, and how long do you anticipate before this project would start, if that's the case?
I think John Harding should answer those questions.
I can answer those questions. Yes, they'll be funded similarly through state programs, and yes, we would have to wait for state funding for that to happen. I have an estimate of sort of when we would expect to start construction a little bit later in the slides, but the short answer is it would be a while, right? We're hoping to apply for the first time in January. It's common to not win your first time in, and so then we would be looking at sort of a construction start in mid 2024, I think would be a good estimate.
That would probably be the earliest you would start.
I think that's a reasonable estimate. That's probably not the most aggressive. The most aggressive would be early 2024, but mid 2024, I think, is semi-aggressive but reasonable.
Okay, thank you. Well, I don't know if you were involved with the second building behind the first one, Eaton Place. You guys were involved in that, correct?
Eaton Place was developed by the community builders, and we still manage it.
Okay, were you involved with the building behind it when it came in for approval?
Are you talking about Franklin Ridge, the senior building?
Yeah, the one behind it.
That is not a TCB project.
Okay, that's Mr. Jewell, because I think Mr. Jewell was involved with the first project also. Am I right or wrong?
I believe Mr. Jewell used to work at TCB before I was here, but
a few years ago.
Okay, all right. No, just a question. It doesn't really make any difference. I'm just trying to get how this all works, because I know that that's been a while. And who's this?
Can I just answer? John Jewell and I do represent Franklin Ridge. Yes, I was involved early on in Eaton Place, and also Community Builders doesn't have a role as a development partner in Franklin Ridge, but they are working with us as the property manager.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies it. Put some of the pieces together. Now, just while you're there, just so people in the audience would know, Mr. Jewell, we approved Franklin Ridge, 3 years ago? 3 years ago next month?
Correct.
Do you have funding yet for that?
We're getting there. We got great news with the hard work from the town and the tremendous support we've gotten from the town with the Mass Works commitment that we got a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, we're getting there, and we're pushing ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted people to know that this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. So
no, it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry to bring you in. Okay, where did we leave off?
I think Ms. McAdams, Reverend McAdams just concluded. And so I will now again introduce John Harding, who you've met, but he will go through some of the slides, and then we'll continue with our engineer and architect. So John.
Okay.
I'll try to be brief as well. I'm John Harding. I'm a project manager at the Community Builders who's responsible for this project. As Peter mentioned, we're a nonprofit organization. We're based out of Massachusetts, started in Massachusetts, but now we're in 14 states and DC. As you also mentioned, we developed Eaton Place and still manage it. The partnership structure with the church is that the existing church will stay in place, so no worries on that front. The St. John's Episcopal Church will also be a partner in this development and will stay on site. They'll be the majority owner of the ownership LLC for the new project. We are requesting that the site be subdivided, so there'll be separate parcels, but St. John's Episcopal Church will remain full owner of the church parcel and majority owner of the new parcel. As Kathy mentioned, the main goals of the project are to generate some revenue for the church, to build much needed affordable housing, to keep most of the site forested, and then also to fit into the surrounding neighborhood, to not be overbearing. So as you can see from the rendering that's currently up, the buildings are mostly 2 stories, right? The first building is much smaller and is 2 stories. And then as you move back, they drop down the hill. And the middle 4 buildings are 2 stories on the Pleasant Street side and 3 stories on the back. And the back building is 3 stories, but the design team will walk through that a little bit more. Carissa, if you could go to the next slide. So this is the unit breakdown. The whole building will be affordable, income restricted. There will be 9 units at 30% of area median income, 9 at 50, and then the majority, the remainder, will be at 60% of area median income. I can walk through this in a bit more detail, but the general idea is that 60% of area median income. You're talking about somewhat low income folks, but these are working families, right? So a teacher early in their career would qualify for these units. Bedroom mix will be majority 2-bedroom units, some 3s and some 1-bedroom units, no studios or smaller. Next slide, please. The differences from the existing zoning and the waivers that we're requesting, I'll go over a brief summary, but we can talk in more detail if there's any questions. The big one is the site is zoned for single family use, and we're proposing a multifamily development. And so there's some requirements that are associated with the building sizes and setbacks, and then parking as well that we're requesting waivers for. I'll also mention that we have gone through some amount of community and town process up to this point. We have met with town staff, with the town's technical review committee. They received our application to the Department of Housing and Community Development for the project eligibility letter, gave comments. We responded to those comments, things like fire access, things like that. We've also, myself, Kathy, and some of the local members of the St. John's Church walked around to the immediate neighbors, spoke with whoever we could get a hold of. And most recently, just I want to say 2 weeks ago, we held a community meeting where anyone in Franklin was invited to the church where we talked through the project. At this point, I'll hand it off to our engineers.
We're going to go through engineering, I believe. Is Kevin here or Frank?
Yep, I'm here. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Hebard, civil engineer with Langen Engineering. I'm going to go through this site plan, our site improvements pretty quickly to leave room for questions, and I'll pass it off to Carissa to talk about the architecture afterwards. On the screen right now is a land survey showing the existing condition of the lot. You can see that there's the church building in that darker blue, and in the light purple is the existing parking lot with the 2 driveways connecting to Pleasant Street. The rest of the site slopes down towards the left side, the west side, and also that east corner. In both of those locations, there are some wetland resource areas, and you can see there's some buffer zones identified on this plan. And then our next slide shows our proposed site plan, where we're proposing to divide the lot into 2 lots, one that will have the church building and one that will have the multifamily development. Lot 1 is the church building. We're showing a reconfigured church parking lot with the same number of spaces as the existing condition. But in this reconfiguration, only one and a driveway entrance will have access to Pleasant Street. That second driveway entrance is becoming the driveway entrance to our multifamily development, which has 7 2 to 3 story residential buildings. Also on this plan is a small maintenance shed, and some stormwater infiltration ponds, associated parking and drive and site amenities. This development stays outside of the wetland resource areas and their associated buffer zones, and leaves the back of the lot forested. The next slide shows some proposed emergency access throughout the site. We have a few areas. We worked with Franklin Fire Department to figure out what their access requirements are. 3 sides of each building has access with the fire trucks. In order to eliminate dead ends, we have some areas of stabilized permeable fire lane that's only for emergency access that connects the church parking lot to our development, and also connects around the bottom of the page, the back of buildings 6 and 7, and then a third area that connects through that middle tray of parking, just to provide adequate emergency access. Then our next slide talks about utilities and stormwater. We're proposing to meet state and Franklin criteria, including groundwater recharge, reducing peak flow rates and flow volumes in the large storm events from the existing condition to protect those wetlands, and also providing water quality treatment, including total suspended solid removal and phosphorus removal. And we'll be doing that through those infiltration basins that are on this plan, and also water quality structures that will be part of the drainage network. We're proposing to connect most of the rest of our utilities to existing utilities in Pleasant Street, including sanitary sewer. We'll have a gravity network that collects sanitary sewer from all the buildings that goes to a force main that will pump and then connect up to the gravity network in Pleasant Street. And we also have our water service in Pleasant Street. The site lighting is all dark sky lighting, and we are not proposing any gas connections or any changes to the utility connections for the church. And then this slide just shows some of our precedent images for the plantings we're using. We're planting about 112 new trees along the driveways and in between the buildings. And these are just some of the species we're working with, and we'll also be installing new grasses and shrubs and ground covers. And that's all. That's the high level view of our site design, and I will pass it off to Chris to talk about the architecture.
Thank you, Kevin. My name is Carissa Coons. I'm a senior associate at DBBW Architects. And as you can see from this aerial view, when we were initially reviewing the site with its steep topography, we wanted to balance the density of the much needed affordable housing with preserving as much of the forested area as possible. The proposed development, as stated, with 7 2- to 3-story buildings, are clustered together to minimize site clearing. The New England style buildings that we've proposed incorporate the 64 units that John had mentioned, but also includes resident amenity spaces and the separate maintenance workshop building. As you can see from the site section, the buildings are embedded into the hill with walkout lower levels to harmonize with the existing landscape and also to reduce the visual appearance from Pleasant Street. All the ground floors are proposed to be visitable, incorporating universal design standards to accommodate different mobility needs and a range of household types. A total of 4 units will be fully handicapped accessible, 3 of which will also be accessible to the hearing and vision impaired. As you can see from standing up on Pleasant Street, and I know the scale figure is really small here, from a sightline perspective, since the site is pretty significant in slope, by the time you get down to this lower, larger building, the roof line is pretty much level with the street level up at Pleasant Street. The front 2-story building closest to Pleasant Street includes a 3,500 square foot common area with community space, management offices, laundry, and bike storage. And other amenities throughout the site include outdoor trash and recycling in close proximity to the units, additional bicycle parking areas, storage for residents, and exterior gathering spaces. We further divided the building mass into multiple geometries to break down the scale, and it's articulated by a combination of board and batten siding and lap siding with double hung windows. We utilize gable, shed, and hipped roofs, again, typical for New England construction, designed to keep the scale down and compatible with surrounding properties, trying to meld that traditional New England style with modern, energy efficient construction techniques. We're going to be using durable materials such as pre-finished cement board siding. And all these buildings will be Enterprise Green Community and Energy Star multifamily new construction certified. So they'll incorporate things like recycled materials, no VOC painting, continuous insulation for increased thermal performance, low-E windows, water conserving fixtures, Energy Star appliances, LED lighting, high efficiency mechanical systems, and infrastructure for electric vehicle charging stations, as well as photovoltaic panels. So in summary, the resulting scheme we feel is effectively balances the desired density while preserving as much forested area as possible by providing smaller scale buildings, ample buffers to the neighboring properties, and respecting the abutting wetlands. And with that, I will turn it back to John for the next steps and project timeline.
We sort of already went over the project timeline. This is just a rough estimate, right? It depends on when we can secure funding. The one other thing that I did want to touch on briefly is we saw some of the letters with concerns that were posted to the ZBA's website. I think some of them we addressed in our presentation, but one in particular that jumps out to me is the concerns about safety at Pleasant Street and high speeds. We heard that concern fairly recently, and to be quite honest, I think that's a really good concern, and we're actively working on ways to address it, but don't have anything to present today. At this point, I'll turn it back to the board for the rest, for any questions or comments.
Okay, that's your presentation for tonight?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, I know there's quite a few people that maybe went to the town hall and were disappointed, but maybe they're here on Zoom, I don't know. But if anybody has a question, could you just, I'll identify you, but just keep in mind that this is just the first presentation of this plan. We're gonna hire consultants to review all their information and everything. So you probably know about as much of this project as we do at point, until we get it reviewed. So just keep in mind that, if there's 15 of you there that are against the project, that's all, that's fine. You have the right to object to anything. But, I don't think that we need all 15 of you to stand up, because we do have a lot of letters. But anybody that has a question or a comment, please let me identify yourself, and we'll try to get through this as quickly as we can tonight, knowing that there'll be multiple meetings on this before it's all said and done. Anyone want to comment or ask a question?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, this is Tim Nelson, and I'm in a butter on Patton Road. And I think you just alluded to it, but we're all rookies here in terms of how this process works and what might happen moving forward. So I'm sure that we'll all have an opportunity to kind of observe all this, but sitting here right now, we've got a group of people and we've got a group of concerns, and I think it would really be helpful for all of us if someone could just kind of outline the next steps, because I'm sure all you guys that are professionals know them, but we don't.
Well, we're not professionals, we're volunteers. So anyway, like I said to begin with, because I know there was some people went to the town hall, I heard, that's why I had to step out of the room and make a phone call. Because if it might be ambiguous about how the thing is advertised, but it's been advertised for that way for 2 years and we haven't had a problem with it. So anyway, with that being said, our statutory obligation is to hold a public hearing 30 days from the time that the applicant presents his petition to the town. They've already done some work. They've done quite a bit of work up to this point. I think they've met with the with the team, with the town team, with the engineers and the town administrator and whoever else they met with, the planners and everything else to discuss this plan. We're seeing this plan, other than the fact that we got a binder with a lot of this information in it, but we're hearing all this for the first time, just like you guys are, and obviously we got questions, we got concerns. I actually went to high school with somebody who got killed right around the same area one day, got hit by a car on her way home from a dance one night, and died. They found him in the woods the next day or that night later. But that, again, I got to tell you that the street I live on for the last 40 years or more is, they just reduced the speed limit here. It was 45 miles an hour forever, and they just reduced it down to 30. I don't know what Pleasant Street is, but I got to assume that they probably did the same thing to Pleasant Street, because I know they did it to Chestnut Street. So any concerns that you might have had going down the road, and I got to tell you, it's not going to reduce the speed. The only thing that reduces the speed is people getting tickets. But you can't expect the police department to be on every street every minute of the day, and And I'm sure you all understand that, but, you know, they're probably doing the best they can with the amount of resources that we have to police that. With that being said, you know, we'll continue on. Like I said, we won't have another, I wouldn't assume that we'll have another hearing. I mean, the first possible hearing we'd have would be, you know, December 1st. But that takes into effect that we get, you know, they get us a check so that we can hire the consultants. The consultants get the information. They go through, you know, like the engineering will go through the engineering, you know, the legal. He just sits back and, you know, helps us, you know, facilitate the meetings. But after we get through that, they'll come back. There'll be some give and take. We'll have some discussion about, you know, between the engineers about what they want to see done. If maybe everything's done completely the way they should be. I don't know. They usually aren't, but, you know, I don't see any reason that, you know, this, but I can tell you that this probably won't be approved until sometime early next year, you know, the way things go. We just had one that we approved tonight, finally, that was applied for in 2021. And that was just that was something that was just a change. That was approved back in 06, I think, or something like that. And phase 2 is just going to be started to be built now. And they came in. Well, they had a problem getting a letter from the state to be able to change the name. So we got through with that. We finally put that to bed tonight from 2021. So, you know, we're starting with this one. So, you know, our focus will be on this. You know, we use good consultants. You know, I'm sure Attorney Freeman could vouch for both of them. And, you know, they're going to do what they got to do, and the applicant's going to do what they got to do. And hopefully down the road, we come up with a decision. The other question that comes up too, and it'll be one of mine for the consultant after, is, you know, Franklin's at 10% already. You know, the affordable stuff is, if you're not at 10%, they can just come in and jam it down your throat. This is a different animal altogether. This is the first project that I've seen, a 40B, where all the units are affordable. And they use a descending scale from, it's usually 80% of the mean, you know, the local mean income. They use a 60, an 80, 60, 30, I think it is. I think that's how it lays out, which I've never seen before. You know, I'm not sure how, like Eaton Place works. That's a senior housing. I'm not sure how that works. That's got to be some kind of senior affordable thing too. But it doesn't seem all that bad. It doesn't. I understand that the people across the street are concerned about the traffic, you know, school bus stop and this and that. And could you just tell me, they put some new sidewalks in on Pleasant Street, but I assume that's probably on the other side of the street from where this is going to be built.
It's on the other side of the street. That little mattress looking thing is my house. It doesn't come past the top of the street.
Yeah, but we're not that far from Dean Avenue, correct? About how far do you think we're down from Dean Avenue, the intersection there?
Mr. Chairman. Hi, Mr. Chairman. Is this the Q&A part of the meeting? Because there's several people with their hands raised.
Yeah, okay. I can't see that. My secretary can, you know, and she'll let me know. But I appreciate everybody raising their hand. We'll call them as we get to them as soon as we finish with this gentleman.
Right, but we are trying to answer your question. So it seems like you're unfamiliar with that intersection.
You're working with the developer.
No, I'm not.
Okay. What question did you want to answer for me?
You are asking a question about that intersection. I've lived there for 28 years. And I can say that that is one of the worst intersections. You're talking about speed. It's not just speed. We've witnessed very bad accidents on that corner. It's hard to come out of Patton. Since they put the new curbing in, we see almost a bi-weekly, at least once a month minimum, people hitting the curb. It's not a good intersection. This proposal has one means of access. That's just the beginning of concerns for our neighborhood. You're focusing on traffic.
Okay, you answered my question. Hey, excuse me. You answered my question.
I'm going to stop there because that's answering that question. We have other concerns.
You answered the question that I asked. Thank you. Now we'll get back to whoever I was talking with. You still there?
Yeah, this is Tim. I mean, I was just curious about the process moving forward.
Well, that's the process. It goes through a process, you know, and they're usually not quick. You know, they don't happen overnight. And as I brought out to begin with, this project probably won't even be funded until 2024, maybe the end of 23. So whenever they start construction, I know Eaton Place took a while. the one behind it, I think they call Franklin Ridge, that's coming up on a 3-year. They're approved for 3 years. After they get into general business, we're going to probably extend that other one, another 12 months, because that's how it works. They come and ask for an extension before the time runs out. So he's here in the appropriate amount of time. That was Mr. Jewell, you saw, and you heard talk earlier. So I don't know if there's any other, I don't know if you had any other questions.
I don't, but thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, Colleen Bond.
Colleen Bond, come on down.
I had a couple of questions. One was with regard to the traffic study.
Yeah.
The report date for the traffic study was July 29th. What date was the traffic study actually completed? Because if it was done in the summertime, that's not giving you a true representation of the traffic on the street during the school year. When people are in there, was it done before the 117 Dean Avenue apartments were done and we had that additional traffic added in? So that's something that I would like answered at some point. The traffic concerns are definitely big. Since we have lived in Franklin, we've been in Paddon Estates for 24 years. Coming from the town common towards the church, several years ago, there was a car accident where somebody smashed into a tree, probably about 3 or 4 doors up from Jennifer Moshe, who spoke earlier. They had, people died in that accident. So there's a lot of issues with traffic on Pleasant Street as it is. And if you add in the fact that people can't pull out of Paddon Road and that there's no sidewalk access to get downtown, there's definitely a lot of big concerns. The town plowing route for the sidewalks stops at Dean Ave. So people coming out of this development would have to cross Pleasant Street to the other side where the sidewalk is, but then those residents don't plow and it's not on the town plowing route. So if people don't have cars, it's not going to be very accessible to get to the downtown area. It's just very poorly thought out. It seems like the way that you guys are talking from the ZBA that this is already a done deal. You keep saying it won't be approved for 3 or 4 years, but you're saying it's going to be approved in 3 or 4 years. And that's very concerning with this development trying to be put in a single family zone. It does not fit in with the neighborhood. I do recognize that we do need affordable housing in the town of Franklin, but that's not the spot to put it.
You through?
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, Christy and John.
Christy and John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Christy Apicella. I'm a resident of 27 Paddon Road. We've lived, my husband John and I have lived here for 18 years, and we submitted detailed comments to the board about our concerns about this project. So I won't go into those in detail here, but the main point of the comments that I provided in writing previously is that while there is a need for additional affordable housing within Franklin, we've made great strides in providing that in the community. We are over the 10% threshold, and therefore my understanding is the Zoning Board of Appeals does not have to grant this comprehensive permit since we have met that threshold. So I know, and in our opinion, we're asking for the ZBA to fully evaluate this development as you would any other development, because you are not required to approve it since it's over the 10% threshold. So the impacts for traffic, to hear the community builders acknowledge that that just occurred to them, is alarming. That just looking at the site and the bird's eye sketches, those are pretty renderings, but they don't even begin to show the topography and the pitch of the driveway coming up to Pleasant Street and the blind curve. So to have all of those issues evaluated as part of a development proposal is something I would advocate regardless of where this location is or what is being proposed. In this case, the only benefit that has been highlighted is that it's affordable housing. There has been nothing else that has been reviewed to really quantify or identify any benefits from this project other than the affordable housing, and any detriments have been completely glossed over. I recognize this meeting has gone on for quite a while. We started at 7:30 to make comments. I know we've submitted written comments, but Mr. Chairman, I encourage you to listen to those who have taken the time to show up and participate in their community. I'm going to turn it over to my husband, John, to add anything else since we're sharing a Zoom here.
Yeah, we each have a lot of concerns. We've already spoken about the traffic, but then the full review of the process, it seems like we're skipping over or talking about skipping over a lot of things just because it's affordable housing. The environmental impacts and all these things should be looked at. It is very close to the Delcart Conservation Area where a lot of people hike, and it just seems like there's a lot of impacts that are, or potential impacts that are just being not really considered. Thank you.
You got to remember, this is the first time. This is the first public hearing. Everything you're hearing, we're hearing for the first time too. We have concerns about different things, maybe different from what you have. But as far as where it goes, whether it's in a residential 3, a residential 2, or residential 1 district, most 40Bs go in there's no zone district to put a 40B in. So wherever a 40B goes, it's not going to fit into the district because they just don't. There's no place. We don't have anything in Franklin that's good for multi-unit housing. We don't have a zoning for that. Maybe down in the downtown area, you can put, a commercial 1 or 2 or something like that. You can put, apartment buildings. But other than that, you're limited to 2 or 3. So, but you have to understand that that's where they are.
Identified locations where affordable housing would be appropriate and increased density that have more connection to the downtown area. So there have been parcels that have been identified for this. This is not one of them.
Okay. I was on that committee and I don't remember that they identified any particular parcels. Just so you know.
There's the link in the comment letter I provided that shows where some of those locations are.
Okay.
Thank you for accepting our comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Casey? Jennifer.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And thanks for letting me jump in there to try to answer your question before. But we just wanted to add a few other considerations. And I'm recognizing some of the comments previously are from residents up in Patton Estates. As we are on Pleasant Street, we can also speak to really the impact of actually construction. We've lived here since before Patton Estates was developed. And so this is yet one more huge impact that we would have to live through. And, we've seen everything from foundation structure damage, blasting, the traffic increase with the construction, the roadway being torn up after they just finally apparently fixed Pleasant Street. I did mention the curbing before, but just the impact of the actual construction would and I know that whenever you construct a large, any kind of project, there is that impact, but particularly in this area, combined with that traffic factor, we would ask you to consider that. Additionally, our part of Franklin loses electricity when someone blows out too many birthday candles. So I can't imagine that adding something this large would help, unless that part of the project would be some kind of improvement to our electrical grid in that area. And that has been definitely brought up to many other appropriate people, but it's a well-known fact that the electricity in that particular area is not great. and then add the water ban. I am curious, I would like to read a couple of the other comments in the letters of concern, but I did just want to actually just make the note of at the beginning of the presentation, when it was said that, you know, they walked around and talked to the neighbors and met with neighbors and had a meeting. I would like to put that on record that that doesn't mean that people are approving it. We obviously want to learn about it. And I would echo some of the other comments already delivered that supportive of affordable housing. Everyone needs to have some place to live, but we are already at the threshold in Franklin, and we would also like to add that we strongly disagree with having it in this particular neighborhood, and love the fact that it's affiliated with a nonprofit and even a church, and that might be why it's being considered differently. I know there's land maybe affiliated with another church downtown that might want to be considered. But we've had a strong impact in our area with the Dean Ave Station 117 project. And that kind of just was passed without many people knowing about it. And I'm thankful for this opportunity to present some concerns to you guys tonight at the beginning of this project. So that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey, who's next?
Karen.
Karen Landers. I just have one question, and it might be for Kathy McAdams or Richard Cornetta. At the beginning, it was stated that the church wanted to get income from this, and I was just wondering, how will the church get income from this? Is this going to be rental, or so if somebody?
I don't think that question is pertinent to the what we're doing here. You know what I mean? Okay. That's something. There's an agreement in the packet, but I don't know that some of it's redacted, so I don't think you're ever going to get that answer. Okay. You know, I mean, I'm sure that the church going to own 51% of they own the land that it's going on, so that would be their 51% investment into the project. So, I mean, most of these 40Bs when they go up, they can't make more than 20% on their investment. So that's why the guy before this took a long time, because he had a bunch of these projects that he never did any of the accounting. And the state wouldn't allow him to switch his name over until he got all his accounting up to date. So there's protections in there that built in, you know, obviously they're run by the state. So I can't speak to how many people they got doing it or how good they do it, but it's done. You know, that's all I can tell you. It's out of our hands at that time.
I can say that we are planning for this to be a rental property. And I'm also happy to respond to any of the other comments that came up if the chair.
Well, let me get through and see how many more people, you know, want to. I mean, they basically from the emails that we've got, they're basically all the same comments. So if anybody that's there has got their hand up and they want to ask a question, that's fine. But if you've heard your question asked before, that there's really no reason to answer it again, because obviously this gentleman right here is ready to answer them to the best of his ability to try to let you know what their concerns are too. But anyway, Casey, anyone else?
Kay Kelly.
Kay Kelly. Need a singer or something, Kay Kelly?
Hi.
Oh, that's our Kelly. I'm sorry.
Am I there?
Go ahead. Huh? Yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
Because I was one of the 20 people who waited at Town Hall. I've been at the Big Y, and I just got kicked out of the Big Y. So I'm in my car with a group of community members. I would just like to say I do live across from the church. I live up Monterey. During traffic time, the traffic from St. Mary's Church extends down the street past my street. I live really far from St. Mary's. The traffic will come all the way down to St. John's. I'm not even able to take a right out onto Monterey. 2 weeks ago, my 16 and 17-year-old boys were in a huge multi-car accident on Pleasant Street. They could have died. My car is completely totaled. My son was going the speed limit. Someone tried to inch out across Pleasant during rush hour. They couldn't see because there were so many cars, and my car was destroyed. And I'm very lucky my kids are alive from it. I'm upset tonight to hear so many times saying, well, when this goes through, that does not feel good to me. Like I agree with so many things that have been said tonight. We are at 10%. There are so many of us that do support affordable housing, but not here on Pleasant. If you live on Pleasant Street or anywhere around there, it's shocking to me that this is being considered. I'm really upset that this is being considered. And I would like to say, I know Reverend to be a lovely person, so I say this with respect, but I hope that you know that to the community, many of the community, like maybe the 50 people that have come out tonight, that I hope the zoning board will recognize, this does not feel like a gift to the community. This does not feel like a gift to the community. It feels like an imposition. It feels like it's taking something away from the community. So that's all I want to say. I'm pretty upset about this, and I agree with what the others have said tonight. I hope that the zoning board will consider how many people at least have tried to show up tonight to say, we would like this studied more. We'd like the traffic studied more. We'd like the environment studied more.
I think I've already explained that this is just the first hearing.
Right, but you have explained that, but you've also said multiple times, well, when this goes through, which is...
Well, maybe I should have said if it goes through. Nothing's a done deal. We have to go through the process. We have to go through the process. So if it's approved, it won't be, you won't see any construction until 2024 at the earliest.
I would appreciate that. Okay. If feels a lot better. It's been when, you've said when several times tonight. I do hope the traffic will be studied, the conservation land will be studied. I really hope there'll be a thorough look into this. It doesn't feel good. The affordable housing part feels good, but knowing that we can bypass some of the studies because it's not going to the planning board does not feel good to me.
Nobody said anything about bypassing any studies.
No, yes, you did.
Our studies are just as comprehensive as any other board in town. You know, we're put in charge of this by the state, and we respect our positions, and we hope you do too. That we take the steps that we need necessary to get to all the answers that everybody wants.
I think your words are very wonderful, but I'm not sure that they're completely accurate. You have said many times that there is not going to be a huge study, and when. And if you're the moderator,
I never said there's not going to be.
If you're the moderator, excuse me.
I'm the chairman. I'm the chairman, and I'm correcting you.
So whoever you are,
point of
you're
privilege.
in charge right now.
Point of privilege. You said that I said something that I never said.
That's not true. I've been listening to you the whole night.
Who's talking, please?
Okay, so blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. What's your name?
None of your business.
Okay, then cut her off. Sorry, hon. You will fine if you have anything else you want to say. Okay, thank you. Casey, next.
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah. Yes. Hi, this is Mark Minikelly. I'm on 31 Longfellow Drive in Franklin. I fully understand the abutters' concerns about this project, and I realize also that it's early on in the process, and I hope that over the course of time, the project owners will take into account the abutters' concerns. I grew up in Franklin. I grew up riding my bike on Pleasant Street, delivering the Franklin Sentinel, and I ride my bike still. I ride my bike still on Pleasant Street today. I understand the concerns about traffic. I think that this project should take traffic concerns into account. I also want to let the chair and the board know that not everybody that's on the call today is against this project. I'm a supporter. I believe we need to have more affordable housing in Franklin. I think although there is traffic concern about Pleasant Street is one of the wider streets in Franklin today, and is capable of carrying a fair amount of traffic. Again, it's early in the process. I believe the abutters have legitimate concerns. They should be addressed by the project owners. But I think Pleasant Street, given the nature of this lot with the 20 acres and the wooded surroundings, I think it's and the relative proximity to the downtown and to the train station make this one of the better spots in town for this type of construction. So just wanted to let you, the chair, and the committee know that not everybody that's on call right now is against this project. I'm a full supporter of moving forward.
Thank you very much. You all set? Is there any other comments?
All set.
All set. Okay, thank you. Casey, anyone else?
Eric?
Hi, good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Hi, Mr. Chairman, and all the folks supporting the call. I'm not as tenured as a resident of Franklin. I've only been here about 8 years. We live just off Flintlock. I share a lot of the concerns that my neighbours have already verbalised, so I won't repeat them all. I will say anecdotally, 5 years ago, we stopped sending our kids to school on the local buses because of the traffic on Pleasant and because of some of the behaviours I've seen with, in particular, commercial traffic, overtaking buses, narrowly missing kids, getting very near to accidents. So that's the concern I wanted to share, but I also wanted to offer my perspective that this is the first ZBA meeting I've ever attended for Franklin. I do attend ZBA meetings around the state in my line of work, and I have to say I'm a little disappointed about how casual and blasé the attitude is so far. I know it's going to be a long process, but I would just ask that you listen to the residents and define this project as a potential project and not something that's going ahead without due course. Thank you.
Thank you. Casey, anyone else?
Jen.
Jen?
Hi. So my name is Jen Godin. I live at 43 Padden Road. You likely have received a couple of my emails. But I did want to say, although I do very much appreciate the fact that you do volunteer for this and that this is a long night and it is the first of many meetings, this for me and for the residents here, this is like the safety of our kids, right? Like, so we want to do everything that we can to say like, hey, ZBA, like you don't need to do this, right? We sent you a document yesterday that outlines 36 members of Padden Estates that are completely, doing everything in our power to like beg of you to not give this waiver, right? We're asking you not to give the waiver because we're really concerned. It is so to come on here and hear that like the manner in which you're speaking is that, oh, this is happening. Like, this is what we're doing. These are all these great things. That bothers me, right? I have kids at that bus stop. And I'm not trying to act like a crazy mom, but I've got kids at that bus stop. They have to cross Pleasant Street with a blind corner right around the side every single day. The bus does not pick them up right in front of the street. They actually have to cross Pleasant to get on their bus every day. There's like 7 kids. This should be one of the biggest concerns, right? Because people are asking you for this waiver. Like, my child's safety is a priority. We moved to Franklin because it's a beautiful community that cares about the people that live here. We've got 36 residents that reached out to you and said, hey, please pump the brakes on this. So it's disappointing to feel like, this conversation is, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it's as if we're an imposition to you to be voicing our concerns right here. And I get that it's annoying. I get that we want to watch whatever, we want to not be doing this, but this is the safety of my children. So it's super important to me. Thank you.
I haven't heard anybody say from the board that this is a great thing. I just haven't heard that. Casey, anyone else? I'm sorry, do you want to,
Well, I was just going to say, we haven't really heard from anybody from the board except for you. And
I'm just facilitating the meeting,
Right.
getting people moving on and everything else.
Right.
I haven't expressed an opinion one way or the other. People ask me a question. I try to be as straightforward as I can, give them an honest answer. I'm not pushing anybody off. I'm taking the time. I can tell you my members are probably sleeping, because this isn't any different than, all of the 40Bs are all the same. They all come up this way. And,
Right.
and obviously nobody wants it in their backyard.
Right.
In this case, they don't want it in their front
I do
yard.
understand that, but I just,
No, I do.
It's important that you get, this is why we're passionate, this is why
Yeah.
I care.
I understand completely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Casey, next.
Brian.
Yes.
Brian.
Hi, Bruce and team. Thanks for the time. I won't repeat any. There were some really compelling arguments here tonight, but one thing I would just like to put to the board to consider as you go through this process is a question that I had asked for both you and the church as well. Is there no other development that would be possible that would fit within the zoning that is appropriate for the area that they can do to achieve their goals? I think they've brought forward a plan that suits them, but doesn't actually suit the zoning. So I think it's really important to answer that question. Is there no other way to put affordable housing or housing that could drive revenue for the church onto that same property, meeting the zoning criteria? Instead, it's gone to this massive mega development. And I think there's something probably very suitable that could be put in that space instead.
I can tell you that there's no zoning in place that they could get 64 units out of that particular piece of property.
I said achieve. So they're going for 64 units. That's not my goal. Their goal is affordable housing. And I'm saying that's possible. That is entirely possible within the zoning that they have, right? With single family. You don't have to unless you're a for-profit entity, it's possible to make affordable houses without 40B.
You know, all I know is that most people that come forward here, they're doing it to make a profit. When a 40B is approved, they have to provide documents to the state that shows that they're only making X amount of dollars. I'm not sure exactly what it's 20%. It's not in our realm of, we don't consider that, but.
Can there be another thing that meets the actual zoning requirements? Look, we're not against citizens against everything. We just want it to be actually fit and be suitable for the neighborhood. So that's what we're asking.
The other thing you have to understand is everybody has the right to present an argument before us or an application, and we have to follow through it. Like I said, we have to meet. They have some stricter requirements than planning board stuff. We have to hear the first public hearing, within 30 days. Otherwise, they can go for a constructive grant right to the housing court. So yeah. I mean, we're only trying to do what we're supposed to do. We have to listen. Yeah. We listen to everybody. I'm taking the time to listen to everybody. I made the statement in the get-go, but and everybody's probably got a little spin on what the arguments were. But if everybody's against everybody, we already know that people are against the traffic. I got that. I've got probably 15 emails here, or stuff that I've actually printed out that I got. But
Bruce, I'm not asking you that. I'm asking the church that too. So don't feel like you're free to point. It's really about, can they do something different that actually fits within the requirements that are set, the conditions that they moved into that property they're under. Thank you.
I don't know if anybody from the development team wants to tackle that one, but if you want to answer them, feel free. If you don't, let me know. We'll move on.
I could speak to it somewhat. I mean, the site is zoned as single family and has a steep slope and a bunch of wetlands on it. So if we did build single family, we would end up tearing up the whole of that forest, which the church and TCB honestly are both against. And even then, I don't think we would get enough units on the site that it would be financeable. But that's just sort of a top of mind answer.
Okay, thank you. Casey, next.
We have one last one, yes.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Anil Nair. I actually moved to this neighborhood in 2019. I lived close to Boston, and everyone is actually raising the voice about the traffic, which I do have the concern. I haven't heard anyone actually from the Pleasant Street who are living around talking about that. I actually live one next to actually the said property. And it is true that few people, actually one gentleman and two ladies came some months back talking about we are going to develop this property. And my exact answer was, this is perfectly fine. I mean, it's your property. You can do what you actually want in a way that is aligned with the neighborhood. Nobody actually from that group mentioned even a single word saying that it is a property like they are going to develop in this large scale. It said like a couple of houses. That is the exact thing they actually told me. And I said, that's fine as long as it is not going to disturb the neighborhood, because I actually looked at several properties before I moved to this place. I have 3 kids, and one is 9, one is 4, and one is 2. They have to cross this road, at least my 9-year-old now, every day in the morning to take the bus. I don't want to talk too much about the traffic, but there are many days she has to wait 45 minutes to cross the street. So I'm not going to talk more about the traffic, but again, few of the other things I had, like why I came to this place, I felt it's really a beautiful nature. And also the park behind, they said this property is never going to be developed. This was one of my major liking, that I am going to see the greenery around me all the time. Of course, it's multi-story building, so it's going to actually disturb the nature less. True. But again, 4 acres, it's not a small amount. And again, there are a few other things also, like I know large houses, another one which I actually made next to the 117, the station, that's a large property with a lot of, grass and everything. So do you have any particular plans for actually how you're going to water the plants and how are you going to do it? How are you going to deal with the summer? What are you going to do? And also the salt and other things, there are some concern about like how the phosphate and other things it's coming and you're going to do the sediments, but what is going to happen in the long term? What are you going to do to recycle that? There are so many other concerns because there is a huge water body just behind it. Everyone is going to wash all the salt into that water body to disturb all the neighborhood. Because my major reason why I moved to this place, leaving many other places which I used to live close to Boston, that I need to see the nature. I want to live in the nature and without disturbing much. And I feel that's not going to happen. And also, one other important concern is, are the people, those who are in the neighborhood, going to actually argue based on this particular development? We have a large property. Let me also make another house. And is it going to increase it again? I don't know, because I'm new to these things. It's the first time I'm ever hearing. And I saw the notice, I learned, and I felt this is what I've been told. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for this opportunity to talk. And I am actually living in that blind curve, which everyone was talking about. I live just there. And the first day I came actually to look at the house, there was an accident in front of my house. And my neighbor said, oh, this is not very normal. And I hope that the increase in traffic is not going to make that worse. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Casey, anyone else?
Yes, Brandon.
That's me. I just wanted to, I know some people mentioned environment generally. I just wanted to voice my concern specifically about wildlife. I do feel that Delcarte has the densest and most diverse wildlife you're going to find anywhere in Franklin, largely due to the wetlands. So I'm just concerned about the impact that, the development itself, but also the construction is going to have on the wetlands and the wildlife in that whole Delcarte area.
I also would like to echo that because it drives all of that wildlife into our neighborhoods, and we're seeing an increase of fox, coyote, deer, and it does affect us, but it also affects the wildlife, and I think we should keep that in mind as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I had a fisher cat in my yard the other day for the first time I ever saw one. So it's kind of, yeah. But anyway, thank you very much. Casey?
That was it.
Okay, I'll go to the board now. Megan, any comments or questions?
I can't think of any questions right now, but look forward to the consultant, helping break this down for us. But no questions for me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Chris.
I think hearing some more from the consultants would be great. I think one of the questions I had after reading through the packet, they had highlighted that there would be an increase in the access to Delcarte. And I'm just kind of wondering from the developer's point of view, how they perceive that increase in access to Delcarte being achieved. Are they granting access through their site to Delcarte on the backside, or what the thought process or kind of presentation of that was in the application?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. That actually came out of a request from town staff. And yes, the goal is to create a few additional parking spaces at the back of the development, and a new trail that would lead from those parking spaces to the existing existing trails in Delcart. So it would be open to the public, another way to sort of access the trails in Delcart. And again, that came from a request from town staff.
Do you have any wetlands on the site?
Yes, there are
On the
wetlands
site
on the
itself.
site. There are wetlands on the
Is that
site
where you
itself,
plan to?
but the
Okay, that's
the
where you,
development does not touch any of the wetlands and is outside of the buffer zone around any of the wetlands.
okay. I guess there's another question too that comes up. Is this in a water resource district, do you know?
I don't believe so.
Okay, no, we'll have to look into it, but, okay. Chris, anything else?
Yeah, one of the plans noted that there'd be 112 trees that are going to be planted. Is that a net new tree number or a total number of trees to be planted after there's some scoping on the site?
I believe that's a total number to be planted. I think that came from Langen, is that correct?
That's correct. Those are the total number of trees we're proposing to plant.
So there very likely is a net loss in trees just due to the density.
We don't have a tree survey, so I can't say for sure, but it's possible.
Okay. And do we know, or maybe even one of the abutters could answer? So the bus stop question, does the bus going to school stop on the St. John side of the road or on the opposite side, on the Patton Street side of the road? Or is it different in the morning and the afternoon, I guess? Jen, put her hand up, Jen, sure.
I can answer that. I live just in front of that. In the morning, actually, it's going opposite side where the Vernon Street is. And in the evening, just in front of the church where actually the access road towards the church is going just in front of that. So on either side of the street, depending on its own, either in the morning or in the evening.
Got it, okay. Mr. Chairman, no more questions at this time.
All right, Archie, any questions?
I do have a question. How did you arrive at the unit count, unit number? Why that number?
It was a combination of the amount of the site that we were okay using, right? We wanted to leave a bunch of the site as forested. And then also it's a financeable number. There's efficiencies with size, and then once you get over a certain size, it becomes hard to finance. And so this is based on what, in our experience, works well for funding affordable housing at the state level.
Okay, I guess we can discuss that once we have some time to look at it, once our engineers and the lawyer gets to take a look at it. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Philip, still awake?
Yeah. I understand all your people, you have the right to be here, and I believe, I take everything you say seriously. But the engineers are going to answer a lot of these questions for us. It's the first night. I believe a lot of them will be answered for you, hopefully what you want. But we have to see what the engineers and everything else says, and everyone will have a chance to speak up at every meeting. So, nothing right now till we hear more from the engineers and everyone else.
Yeah, just so everyone knows that these packets go out to all the town departments. And as you can see, we haven't heard from any of them yet because this is just the first public hearing. We haven't heard from the fire department. We haven't heard from police department. We haven't heard from DPW. Concom's going to get a bite at the apple as far as the, what they disturb wildlife, and for the, that's what the Conservation Commission does. I think the Conservation Commission is actually in charge of Delcart's pond, so they may have some comments from that. Maybe that's where the parking area came up. The guy from TCB there, I got a question. What was when you originally started this? So how many units did you propose? Did you actually think you could propose? Oh, was 64 your first and final number?
What do you mean? Like, did we?
Well, everybody looks at a project. Everybody looks at a project. They want to maximize what they're going to get. So I can't believe that you started off at 64. I don't think you started at 30. I'm just curious as to what you maybe started at and then thought maybe what you could get by with, to make it economically feasible.
Our initial thought was in the range of 64 because that was what we had that was what we typically get. Typically works well within the constraints of the funding sources that the state has. So I wouldn't say it was exactly 64, but give or take 10 units on either side. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Your buddy Langa's still here, the representative from Langa. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I was reading some of these notes here or something, but there's a traffic study. Did he discuss any of that? I don't remember him doing it, but.
No, we haven't conducted a full traffic study. We put together a traffic memo that showed sightlines for our discussed sightlines for our driveway and total trip generation for the new development. Those came out of a request from the town staff. So we're anticipating for significant further traffic study. What we have presented so far is just been the trip generation and sightlines as requested from the town.
Okay, so you're going to make a plan to do a full-blown traffic study. I would assume. Maybe you can't answer that because you're the guy that's going to do it, but the builders, TCB, I would assume now after hearing all the comments that you're going to have a full traffic study done.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption. I'll also correct one misstatement I made earlier. I said that traffic came up recently for us as a recent concern. That was a bit of a misstatement on my part. We were aware of the traffic issues. What came up recently was sort of the town and local community's appetite for traffic calming. We can't promise that we'll be able to make improvements to Pleasant Street because we don't control Pleasant Street, but we're open to the idea of making improvements that would increase safety around it.
Well, Pleasant Street's a connector road between two towns, so I'm sure that comes into play also. The street I live on is a connector road, but they managed to lower the speed limit from 45 to 30, after 40 years, but, and the answer I got back was, well, at 45, they might go 55 or 60. At 30, they may go 40, 35 or 40. So I guess that's how it works. But anyway, with that being said.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, could I have a quick comment, please? 30 seconds.
Sure. Yeah.
One of the developers just referred to the driveway as our driveway again. Let's just be clear. It's a proposed driveway at this point. It's a proposed project. We have to stop referring to this as a done deal. The traffic limit was reduced on Pleasant Street down to 30 miles an hour. That means nothing. And a traffic study, the reference to the traffic study is great, but a simple Google search can show you exactly how many cars travel on Pleasant Street at peak levels every day. And it's comparable to Lincoln, comparable to Oak, and many of the other major thoroughfares through the town. So I hope they do their due diligence, but I hope we can just move forward with referring to this project as a proposed project and not something that's already approved. Thanks.
Well, it is their driveway. I mean, they're the ones that are proposing it. They're the ones that are living it. It's their baby. They consider it their driveway. I don't think that connotates any approval already or whatever else. I mean, it's just the way people talk in the business. Our driveway. He's not talking about the church driveway. He's talking about the driveway that goes to their project. So that's why he refers it to their driveway.
Understood. I think you'll agree, though, that the narrative throughout the night here has been a bit positive towards this project already happening versus it being proposed. Thanks.
Yeah, I really wouldn't say that, but you can take it however you want. Everybody has an opinion about different things that people say. We can see that in the discourse that goes on every day.
I just hope you're listening to all of my other neighbors that have already voiced.
Listen, I haven't only listened tonight, but I've actually read most of the emails because a lot of them were directed to me personally. Through my email. So I read them all. And I don't know. I came up. I thought there was around 15. I could be corrected in the number. They didn't talk about it, but the applicant produced some letters, in support. And I don't know if is it John from TCB? Did you produce these letters, or who produced these letters for you? Because all it is a stock letter. Somebody signed it. I don't know if they live in Franklin. They live in Timbuktu. I just don't know where they're from. And it looks like there was something that was just typed up and handed to people and said, "Hey, can you sign this for us?" If you want to speak to that.
I can speak to that. So I wrote up a template and printed them out and I had them available at a presentation that I gave for the local St. John's Church and for the larger community meeting. They were off to the side. I mean, obviously you can't trust me, but I tried my best not to pressure people to sign them.
You know, some people sign stuff because they think they're going to get a coffee from it. You know, I don't know, you know, but I mean, there's names, there's no addresses, there's no nothing. I don't know where these people are from. You could have been maybe on vacation somewhere and said, here, sign these. I'm not saying you did that, but that's, you know, that somebody could construe it that way. You know,
Understood.
So at least everybody that sent me a letter got a name and an address on it. So at least I know where they're from, you know.
Understood.
Okay. Mr. Canetta, Attorney Canetta, are you still with us? Or did he sign off?
Yes,
already?
I am. Yes, I am,
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Chairman.
I just wanted to make sure that you were here, and you still got your jacket on too. So
Yes, I do.
yeah, okay. So what are you guys looking for? I mean, are you handling this, or is Mr. Attorney Freeman handling this? I mean, I got to say that as soon as we get the check, we can hire the consultants to start the review. You know, I usually don't do that until that time. So you know, I'm looking. I mean, even if we were to get the check next week. And I don't know, because these are definitely preliminary plans that the engineer probably wouldn't take too long to get through it. We could, if you wanted to, we could schedule something for December 1st because we actually have something else on the agenda. And then if something comes up where we're not ready or you're not ready again with any, obviously there's going to be give and take. There's going to be some questions that come up from our consultants that, you know, you may take time to answer, but if you're free on December 1st, we're going to have to meet that night anyway for something else. So if you wanted to meet, then we could do it then. If not, I don't know. It might go into next year.
If I could speak also to that,
Go ahead,
Richard.
go ahead,
Certainly-
Mr. Prince.
Certainly jump in. I appreciate
Yeah.
that, Mr. Tim, and I think we should grab that date. And if it turns out that there's nothing ready with review, it could be continued. I don't know if you have another date. I was thinking mid-December might increase the chance that the review would have taken place. But if you don't have a date in mid-December, then I would say, yes, let's do December 1st. And if necessary, then a continuance can be announced.
I don't feel a particular urgency to move this along. 2 weeks, I don't think is going to make much of a difference, but it would go into January sometime. But I just know how these things go. By the time you get through with the reviews, they send the letters out, then you got to answer them and everything else. The reason why I don't want to pick the 15th, because right now we don't have anything on the agenda. So if we don't have anything on the agenda, obviously we're not going to meet. But if I put you on December 1st and there's something we can talk about, that's fine. But, you know, and then we can continue it from there. And I doubt that we'd continue to December 15th unless we get another application. And, you know, it's been far and few between, you know, like the last one we had that went on over a year. We've actually had to come in or get online and meet with these people just to continue it to another month down the road. You know, which, you know, it's unfair to us. But, you know, we're obligated to do certain things. So that's what we do.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. If December 1st is available and agreeable, let's do that. And we thank you.
Okay. Casey, December 1st, right? We got something else on the agenda?
Yes, we do. So 7:35 p.m.
Okay. That fine with you, Mr. Freeman?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. With all that being said tonight, I thank everybody that hung around and got online and got into the call here so that they could express their concerns. I appreciate them. I appreciate the way the meeting went, all except for one point. But other than that, I'm happy. And I think I explained myself pretty good that, you know, this is just the initial review so that the applicant can explain what he wants to do. Up until this point, everybody's just going online and looking at the stuff that was submitted and, you know, forming their own opinion about what's going on. So this is the way it works. This is the way they all work. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to continue this till December 1st at 7:35 p.m.
So moved.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Archie.
Yes.
Philip.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Next meeting will be December 1st at 7:35 p.m. We'll move to there. Can't guarantee that there's going to be any more information than we got right now, but that's when the next hearing is. For any of those that were considered abutters and got an abutters list, you won't be getting any more in the mail. This is your notice right here that we're going to hold the next meeting at that time. Moving along, general business. Mr. Jewell, I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
No problem. Been there.
This is for Franklin Ridge. Evidently, we approved this 3 years ago in December, and you're here before the 3 years to request an extension. I'm more than willing to give you 12 months. That way there we can keep you in the loop. If you got to come back, you got to come back.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jewell's here requesting an extension for the project that we approved 3 years ago. It's well within his right to come back before the approval time runs out and ask for an extension. I'll entertain a motion to give, which one is this one called? Franklin Ridge.
Franklin Ridge Senior Housing.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, Franklin Ridge Senior Housing, an extension till, what was your approval date exactly?
I think it was December 19th.
Okay, till December 19th, 2023.
So moved.
So moved. Yeah, there we go.
Second it.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call vote. Philip?
Yes.
Archie?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Sorry you had to wait around.
No problem. Thank you very much. Appreciate
You're welcome.
it. Have a nice evening.
You too. What's left of it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, we have the meeting minutes of October 6th, 2022 that we need approval from. Members have been provided a copy electronically and maybe with a paper if you got a packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I abstain.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were game. Oh.
So, did everyone get a chance to review their minutes?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for Thursday, October 6, 2022.
Megan.
Sorry, I thought Chris. I'm so moved.
Oh, were you here or you weren't here? I'm sorry. I didn't know.
I think Chris was voting.
Yeah, Chris
that
was the one. Well,
meeting.
he sat in on one hearing, I think, or maybe sat in the whole night. I don't think we had more than one or two anyway. Okay, Chris.
A second.
Second. Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Chris.
Yes.
Archie.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Casey, anything else to come before the board?
No, that was it.
Okay. Sorry, we kept you. I know you got a couple of sick kids. So anyway, I hope everything works out. Go ahead, Philip.
Motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Motion made and second to adjourn, non-debatable. All those in favor, roll call vote. Archie.
Yes.
Philip.
Oh, yes.
Chair votes yes. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Night.